All right, so we are back. As we left off in part one, we were in the middle of discussing Gunther versus Drew McIntyre for the Intercontinental Championship.
Boo! Yay! Boo! Yay!
But basically, like we were talking about, was just the absolute display of power between these two men in their matches. Like I mentioned, Drew was doing like moves back to back to try and keep Gunther down. We saw Gunther hit that big old power bomb, but McIntyre was able to kick out of it. And then we saw a very close spot where McIntyre hit the Claymore that nearly got the win.
Yes, that was a big old moment. We saw Gunther hit a power bomb on Drew, a lariat on Drew, like separately, right, and a splash on Drew. And goodness gracious, Jack, remember how imposing that splash used to look?
Yeah.
Now he's so light, he's so trim. I'm like, I don't know if it even hurt as much.
Yeah, definitely. But what's it called? I definitely like, just how much they like this is a good example of a match of how you can make both competitors look strong throughout the match,
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, they were going to everything. Especially, I've mentioned it so much in the past, I love how Gunther has like multiple finishers, multiple moves that he can go to, so you never know when the match is going to end, So like you mentioned,
yes.
He did the lariat, he did the powerbomb, he did the splash, and any of those could have been a finish in a moment, but McIntyre just keeps kicking out of them,
He sure does.
Yeah, both men looked really strong, and then we get this part where I think like the final part of the match, they're like fighting on the top rope, and then I forget how it happens.
Gunther pushes McIntyre, and he gets I don't know what you call it on a podcast, right? He hits the top rope the hard way, He gets low blowed by the top rope. That's the beginning of the end for him, and I like that because Gunther doesn't sneak away with the victory like Logan Paul did earlier, but Drew kind of has a way of saying, "Hey, that wasn't an entirely clean finish,"
Yeah, but Gunther gets the finish. Both men looked real strong. Drew's protected through the finish.
Yeah, because what does it take to put Drew down besides getting low blowed by the rope? He needs to hit the splash and picks him up for the clothesline and hits the power bomb. He's got to spam all his finishers.
Yeah, definitely. Both men looked real strong in this match. Very good match. It's very tough. I'd have to look at all his defenses, but like this is definitely up there for one of Gunther's best IC title matches,
Yeah, like you said, right? The pay-per-view matches have more freedom and flexibility and don't have as many like commercial or time restrictions as like a TV defense.
Yeah, they got a ton of time for this, and they definitely went all out with it. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, like I said, definitely. I definitely think it definitely ranks like in like the higher tier of his defense.
Who else have we seen and discussed fight Gunther? This is definitely better than the Riddle match.
It's so tough to say if it's in contention, but there was the first Sheamus match at Clash at the Castle.
Oh, just don't touch that at all. This one's better than the Mustafa Ali match at Night of Champions. I didn't see any of the SmackDown ones, and I don't think this one quite beats the WrestleMania Triple Threat. But this was good.
Yeah,
this was good, and at the end of this conversation, you got to pick your match of the night. Because I think, we've already had a couple of contenders.
Yeah, we definitely have. It started off, with some pretty great matches.
Yeah, like what would you say is the only weak spot of the night so far?
Probably Shayna and Ronda, or like,
I agree, and I would, say that that Battle Royale was one of the better ones we've had recently.
Yeah, definitely. Like it had its multiple fun spots, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I was looking into this to see what other like title defenses. This seems like almost a fake stat, given like, but again, maybe, you know, I've just misremembering. But Gunther has only had five, no wait, yeah, five title defenses on pay per view.
Like in his 1,000 days as champion.
Yeah,
That makes no. You know what? That's definitely believable because a whole lot of them happen on SmackDown, and I don't know if you remember us going, "How come Gunther's not on this show?"
Yeah. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's defended it 8 times, and they were all on SmackDown.
Yeah, they were making him like a marquee part of that show every PLC weekend. And that's what I mean, right? Like, he's not on the card, but he's the main event of that SmackDown. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Against guys like Rey Mysterio, I think Shinsuke.
Ricochet, Mysterio, Braun Strowman, Xavier Woods. Yeah, I guess that match with Gable wasn't for the IC title on Raw. I thought it was, but it doesn't pop up when I search up his title defenses. So I think that was just a normal match. But hey, it could lead to a title defense either on Raw or on the next pay-per-view.
Oh my.
Yeah, that could be a real interesting one. I hope it happens on the pay-per-view because I'd want you and I to talk about that.
Yeah.
But moving on from the night, we go into another, you know, highly anticipated match. We got the World Heavyweight Championship champion Seth Rollins defending against Finn Balor, and similar in a way to Money in the Bank. You know, you got a lot of stuff looming around, you know, this one. Whereas, you know, with Money in the Bank, obviously since it happened after the match, that became a looming factor. But now with this one, it's like we still have Damian Priest with the briefcase. You wonder how he's going to play into it, especially because of how him and Balor have been interacting and all that. And, of course, as I mentioned in part 1, you got the whole story of the fact that, you know, these two men faced off 7 years ago at SummerSlam for to crown the first ever Universal Championship. This is the show where Balor became the first ever Universal Champion, but got injured that same night and had to relinquish it the next day. And he symbolizes that by having the word 7 written across the shoulder where he got injured, you know.
I thought that was neat. And I thought it was interesting how much more excited I was for this match, even though it is also the third of 3, right? Like the first one was the Night of Champions for the tournament finals. And the second one was Money in the Bank. And I'm really surprised that they've been able to draw this story out for this long. But actually, I got hooked, Jack. Hook, line, and sinker. We're talking about this is SummerSlam. This is the anniversary of that injury. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like it was mentioned, I think, before the other two, but the circumstances are different. This is the end of the tournament. I'm challenging you, but that match ended in a funky way where he could technically challenge again. You know? And so I was excited for this one, yo.
Yeah, definitely. Especially because I think it's something you and I noted. I think in the Money in the Bank episodes. You know, with how long Roman has been champion, with how long Gunther has been champion, even Austin Theory, you know, the Usos with their long old reign, with how long these reigns have been, you know, it would be fresh to see, you know, some quick title reigns, you know, some title reigns that are short in comparison. So it was very much believable, at least to me, that like, hey, Balor could walk away with this one.
Yeah, I mean, goodness. Judgment Day are super hot. And imagine this time last year. They super were not.
I think this time last year, or actually maybe not, but
they didn't have no Dom, not yet.
Yeah, I know they didn't have Dom, but I don't think, or I'm trying to remember, I think they had kicked out Edge by then, maybe.
Uh-huh.
But they were still in like their very early stages where everyone was just like, This is pretty bad. And this is going to be something similar to, I think, the next match. It's a point to bring up. But yeah, Judgment Day a year ago, I think that's always the coolest part about this podcast is you're able to go back and hear yours and I's opinion on these things. And like, from the very beginning, if you were listening back then, Mr. Solis and I weren't too high on Judgment Day, especially when Edge was leading them. And look at it now, where it's like it's one of the hottest acts. You got Damian Priest with the Money in the Bank briefcase. You got Finn looking, as great as he ever has, probably on the main roster especially. Looking his best on the main roster, looking like a credible challenger to Rollins. Feasibly could win this title, and really, tell a great story of him winning it 7 years later.
That's what I want.
And they played it up a lot in this match. The big spot was obviously the part where, what's it called? Balor this time was trying to target Rollins' arm and shoulder, to, sort of signal like, hey, this is all the pain I was going through in 2016 when you injured my arm. And they even, show it clearly when he does the buckle bomb on Rollins. And I like the commentary where Michael Cole was like saying, that's the exact spot 7 years ago, although it's not in, were they in New York still when they were doing SummerSlam, or was that Canada? I forget where SummerSlam was that year, but, they were mentioning, that barricade is the same spot that it happened 7 years ago.
I really loved like all of Balor's work on his shoulder, on Rollins' shoulder, which is was super heavy because his finisher don't have nothing to do with your shoulder. You know what I mean? Most often the wrestlers kind of targeting the body part that his finisher targets, but he's like, nah, I'm gonna mess up your shoulder out of sheer revenge. It made the match feel different from the other two.
Yeah, definitely.
And golly, how often did he keep going for that drop kick into the corner, into the coup de grace attempt? Like, he kept going for it. I don't know if Rollins was stiffing him or he just didn't hit that turnbuckle right, but he hit it like 2 or 3 times. And I felt like a video game player where I'm like, just hit it right. Just activate the quick time scene.
Yeah, no, I've been playing the MLB game recently, and it's a similar feeling where I'll hit the ball and it'll tell me oh, that was a perfect hit, and it ends up being a pop-up foul ball, or it ends up being caught as a pop-up, and I'm just how are you gonna tell me I'm hitting this perfectly and it's not working? So that was something similar, where it's you're right, he just kept trying to hit it, but he wasn't getting it. And then we got the spot where Rollins dodges it and he lands the pedigree, and then that's when we finally see Damian Priest make his way out, looking like he's gonna cash in again. And but then this time I can't remember if the ref goes down or if he gets distracted, but that's when Priest hits Rollins with a hard punch. And then Balor hits a pedigree, and that was a near fall. That was pretty good. And then we get this cool little spot that I have no doubt will set up even more tension within the Judgment Day. Is that Rhea Ripley and Dom try to come out and help, but Balor insists no, I want to do it on my own. And whenever a faction leader, faction member does that, that always causes tension with the whole, oh, you think you're greater than the faction, that you got to do it on your own with no help. So,
I think both you and the commentators were really confused about what Damian Priest was trying to do. And I think he was trying to do the same thing both times it occurred, right? The plan was give him the briefcase, distract the ref so he could beam Seth Rollins in the head with that briefcase. But the first time, Balor's not yet, right? That's plan B. And he tries to do things a certain way, and then he reaches this point where he's, all right, now give me the briefcase, go distract the ref. And so Michael Cole and Corey Graves literally flip-flop, take opposing sides between one instance and the other about, is he cashing in? He was never trying to cash in. The move was give Finn the briefcase so he could whack him with it. Which is funny because why did it have to be the briefcase? Why couldn't it have been anything else you hit anybody with?
Yeah, no lie. And, we get to that point where he wants to use the briefcase, but, Balor's not paying attention. He goes to try and grab it while Priest has the ref distracted, and that's when Rollins curb stomps him on it. And
we get a memeable face from Damian Priest.
Yeah, I was about to mention that finishes the match, and you just see Damian Priest just staring Rollins down, and I like
with like a face that just says "bruh."
Yeah, and I like how people were mentioning, it's like he wasn't even like caring about the fact that like Balor lost and all. Like he was more focused on Seth and all that. So I thought that was pretty good. I thought this was a real great match. Really want to say it was better than the previous two for sure.
I agree. For the reasons I described earlier, the stakes were different. I was really convinced Balor was going to win this, and he came close like a couple of times. I think the pedigree after Priest hits him with that, that punch. I thought, dang, I thought that was going to be it. He hit the dropkick where Seth hit the corner perfectly. I thought that was going to be it. I thought Seth, he spent his finisher on Dom outside, still thinking about video games. I'm like, he's out of them.
Yeah.
But it wasn't meant to be, which is just the craziest thing.
Yeah.
Hey, did you hear about what happened on Monday?
I didn't.
I don't know how it fits into the whole theme of Monday, right? But where do you go from here? Like, where does Seth go from here? And I don't know how we got here. I just saw the clip, the GIF. I just saw the, clip. And Shinsuke Nakamura only comes in and Kinshasa Seth Rollins. Super unprovoked, very heelish tendencies. And he's just like, boom. What did the Shin say to the face? Damn.
Oh man, that should be fun. That should be fun, especially because we've been waiting a while for another Shinsuke Nakamura world title match.
And if this is done strong style, sign me up.
Yeah, definitely, should be real good. But moving on to our triple threat match of the night for the WWE Women's Championship, we have champion Asuka defending against Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair.
Oh my. By now, Jack, I'm on the plane. I'm headed to Orange County. I've got about an hour and a half to watch the next two matches. It's been a long weekend, and I don't know if it's Charlotte. I don't know if it's just a trio, but I'm not feeling good about this one, Jack.
I definitely was not feeling good about it as well, because I was like, it has Charlotte in it, and we all know what the outcome usually is. Not only when it's Charlotte, but if it's in a triple threat match where she can win without even having to pin the champion,
I don't know what it is. Logan Paul did this earlier too, but if it's his character, there's a lot of time in between moves. Logan is constantly looking out at the crowd, right? That's not to be confused with Brock's match, where there's a lot of time in between moves because he's telling Cody stay down. I don't know why there's so much time So what I end up doing, Jack, is when a move is hit, I'm literally hitting plus 10. So that I get up quick enough. It's not like the Gunther match. That's one move after another. It's nonstop. This one, I'm plus 10. Oh, a replay? Nope. I see it the first time.
No, I think that's definitely the best part about watching these on replay is that you can skip through a lot of that stuff.
Goodness gracious.
I definitely, if I gave more thought to it, I definitely know there's a list of wrestlers out there where I know if I'm watching their matches, there's going to be a lot of points where I have to skip to get back to the action. The best part of being able to watch the Roman matches on replay is being able to skip through all those talking segments.
Oh, the Roman match, Jack. We're going to get there. But when it comes to this women's championship match, what stood out to you? What spots do you remember fondly?
I think what stood out to me is definitely the story they were telling about Belair, like after she took that fall, like having to really fight through the injury, I thought that was very interesting. And the one thing I was looking out for was, how was Asuka gonna look in this match? Like that was the true like tell to me. It was like, if they're making her look, weak, if they're making her look like a non-factor, then like I should already assume the worst of how this match is gonna end. But
I can only imagine how you felt when the champion came out second out of 3.
Yeah, that too. And what's it called? As far as the match, it just like I should have seen it coming, because like Asuka had her like shining points, but at the same time, it's like Belair's injury became like the focus of the match afterwards. Even in those little one-on-one segments, it's like, I don't know. I just feel like Charlotte and Asuka didn't do enough to really like become compelling enough, in their little one-on-one.
Right.
And
yeah, what's interesting, Jack, when they're carting Bianca like to the back, when she hit the ground, I thought she was hurt. Like, she really convinced me, just like, this was not supposed to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And only because they take so long, like they don't put her on a stretcher. They're going to walk her out. I really think like something's up, right? But again, I'm convincing myself this is like legit, because Charlotte and Asuka look completely unprepared to carry the match between themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely noticed that too, yeah. And again, I don't know, a lot of the meat of the match was also just like kind of here or there. Like, there's especially a lot of spots where they just didn't land as well as you wanted it to, Like, I think there was a spot where Asuka tried to hit like a DDT from like the ropes, and like it landed pretty awkwardly. Like, she didn't get hooked onto, I think it was Charlotte, all that well. And then Charlotte hit her moonsault to the outside and like missed both of them, or like one of them. And like, I don't know. A lot of people are always saying Charlotte has the best moonsault, but like she does stuff like that, and it's just like, I don't know how you can make that claim for
her. So one spot that I really enjoyed, this is after Bianca's like triumph back to the ring, and and you know what my headcanon said? Charlotte's got the figure 8 on Asuka, and Bianca's like, no, I'm not letting her win. Not another one. Not if I could stop it. She powers herself not only into the ring, but on the top rope, and hits, what do you call it? Was that a 630 or?
I think 450.
A 450 onto a bridging Charlotte. I thought that looked really, really good.
Yeah, that looked.
And like, I love like she's sick of her too. She's like, no.
It did shock me that wasn't the finish, because I'm used to seeing that a couple times, but no, they continue on for a bit. Then we have Asuka misting Charlotte, who had gotten the figure 8 onto Bianca, which again was another like close fall spot, because you're like, oh great, she's injured. Charlotte's putting her in this lock. She's extending it to the figure 8. This is going to be the finish, isn't it?
It's like she's, oh goodness, and Asuka's like, no. But tell me this, Jack. Tell me, I might be petty. Did Charlotte take too long to sell the mist?
Probably.
It happens, Jack, in 2 seconds, but I think it should have happened in 1. I feel like she sprays her. I feel like she's there for like a whole heartbeat, and she's like, oh my God, my eyes.
Yeah, no. But then after that, Asuka tries to go for a kick on Bianca, her signature kick, and that's when Bianca rolls her up and beats her, wins back the championship.
Yeah! Asuka looks super surprised and like kind of maniacal, or kind of like, she doesn't look upset or surprised. She just kind of looks creepy.
Yeah, I noticed that, and
I don't know if it was her tongue or her eyes or what, but what a way to end the match. And we've got one more match left to go. Nothing else of any significance happens to the ladies in the ring. Am I right, Jack?
Yeah, no, they helped Bianca out as she raised the championship high. Yeah, I'm so glad it wasn't the Damage Control theme. We get EO Sky.
I love that EO still has that song. So many people have changed songs, but I don't know what they did to keep hers.
I don't
And
know, but that's Def Rebel's only like hit for me. Like they've made a couple of bad themes, but that was like the one good one. And it was funny because when we first saw the stage, that was something Ricardo and I mentioned. We're like, man, this is a long ramp, like long stage for them to have to walk through.
Yeah, EO hit that Charles Robinson's stride, and she's carrying that briefcase forward so you can read it. Like it's totally creating air resistance for them. She's booking it with Bailey right behind her, and I love when they get to the ringside. She gives Bailey the suitcase to start walloping people because she wallops Charlotte. She wallops Asuka. She gets in the ring. She starts to wallop Bianca, and Bianca gets the upper hand. You're like, Bailey took the hit. EO's 100% behind her. If EO went in with that briefcase, either one of them ladies could have gotten her, right? No. Bailey took the hit. And EO was in perfect position to straight up, chopper. What do they call it? When you go after the people's knee from behind.
Oh, the chop block.
She chop blocks her with that briefcase. Oh my.
Yeah, sets her up for, no shade, but the best moonsault,
Oh, no shame in her game. The best moonsault in the business.
Yeah, hits her with that moonsault. 1, 2, 3, and if you remember from part 1, this is what Ricardo spoiled for me, and I didn't even care because I was the happiest I could be. I was like, let's go. I didn't even care about the finish of the previous match, especially upon watching it back. I was like, let's go, especially because a lot of people will be like, oh, Asuka loses the title so quickly, but she doesn't get pinned. Well, she got pinned by Bianca, but it makes sense if EO's cashing in because you still save that match between EO and Asuka for down the line.
Asuka lost the match quickly. Bianca lost it even quicker. She has both the longest reign and the shortest reign in I don't know if it's all of WWE women's history or recent,
Yeah.
But another sweet, just part of the whole celebration is that we see Dakota Kai join them in the ring. And again, Jack, a year ago, these women were just making their debut to the main roster. And here we are a year later. EO's on top. Dakota, sidelined with an injury. But you just, I don't need to see them fight with Bailey yet at all. We could take our time on that. We got Judgment Day stuff brewing. This one, can percolate a little bit. I'm really excited to see them all celebrate with one another.
Yeah, it would be awkward to do two big group breakups at once,
Right.
And yeah, basically what I was alluding to earlier, another group like Judgment Day that took a while to really get its footing, how much of Damage Control's first year was pretty bad booking-wise,
Pretty cringe.
Yeah, we literally saw them lose the 3-on-1 advantage to Bianca Belair.
Mm-hmm.
But, here we
all
are.
it took was for Bianca to break her leg.
Oh, man. And then, I find it funny that Dakota shows up and then, in the press conference, they immediately ask, oh, are you better? Are you fine? And she's like, no, I'm still a long ways away. It's probably not going to be till, I think she said 2024 till we see her.
Goodness.
Yeah, that's a bit upsetting, but, happy for EO to get the win as always. If you've been listening since the very beginning, back all
since the NXT days.
Yeah, this has been a EO Sky, EO Shirai Stan podcast, basically. The whole family and Mr. Solis have been on that for a while.
Yep. We sure have.
Yeah. And here she is in another triple threat match. Or, well, not in another triple because she wasn't involved in it, but, well, here we are again with her winning a world title and Charlotte not being involved in the finish. I'll never forget that when she won the NXT title and Charlotte just couldn't be bothered to take the pin. Hey, but I'll take Bianca getting that short reign over Charlotte getting another like
Another ring, Jack. She's up to 14. She's going for 15. I'm like, I bet some of those don't even add up to like a week or something, you know?
Yeah. And it was funny because I was gonna say, oh, Bianca's probably in her Charlotte era of like trying to stack those defenses, but I saw someone say she's in her John Cena era, going from having like a long reign to like losing the title so quickly.
Yes. How much time we got left, Jack?
14 and a half minutes.
And we've got just one more match. And Jack, can you imagine my surprise when I'm watching this on the plane ride home? We got one more match, and there's about 1 more hour left of like event.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it either when I looked at the timestamp.
Yeah, I'm at the 3rd hour, and they play the video package, Jack. We get both men's entrances. This is, of course, the Undisputed Universal Championship match. Roman Reigns defends against Jey Uso in a tribal, what match?
Combat match.
Tribal combat match. And Jack, from the graphic, you know, EO just celebrated. We had like a commercial, and then we had the match graphic to Mike Rome announcing their names. It was 15 minutes.
Wow. Well, that doesn't surprise me because at this point we've started like doing a bet on the over/under it takes Roman to make his entrance.
And I'm plus 10. I'm waiting to see, you know. And then from like Mike Rome announces their names to even the first lockup takes about another 4.
It does not surprise me at all.
And I'm just, every move, yep, let's just keep it going. I ain't watching this, Jack, after I get off the plane. I'm going home, I'm going to bed, and I'm not going to do this again. And listen, when I told you in the first episode that I didn't get any spoilers, but that in and of itself spoiled it for me, the reality is if Jey Uso beat the Undisputed Universal Champion after 1,030 days, I was going to hear about it. The fact that I didn't hear about it makes me know Roman's winning.
Yeah, especially because to me, I was like, if I'm not getting like at this point with how long that reign's been, I would have expected to gotten a notification from ESPN talking about it, you know,
or Apple News.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like where we were going; it was how we're going to get there. Jack, did any moments or any spot stand out to you?
I was a bit surprised with like the use of the different weapons, you know, like the kendo stick. Because when they said tribal combat, to me, I didn't expect it to be like, I didn't expect it to mean like a hardcore type of matchup. I just thought it was gonna be some gimmick to the whole tribal chief thing, you know.
Yeah, like the what was that that Intercontinental Championship match between Big E and
Apollo Crews, the drum
Apollo
match.
Crews. Yeah.
Where they didn't even use any of the drums.
Did you expect something like that?
Yeah, I was expecting something like that where, like, you know, I don't know, like, maybe, like, they brought in some family member to officiate it or something, you know? Like, that's what I was sort of expecting. I wasn't expecting the use of, like, the kendo sticks, the tables and all that.
Yeah, one thing I skipped over, right, is before they start fighting, because it takes them forever, Roman takes the red lei, you know, in his hands and shows Jey and says, if you beat me, I'm going to give these to you. Not like Paul, not the referee, right? Because the referee's holding up the championship belt. And he's like, and if you win, you get these as well.
Yeah. And then, you know, they go back and forth. They have the different spots, like, you know, he power bombs Jey onto a pile of chairs.
Ooh.
There was the spot where they, like, go through a table, I think it was.
Yeah, the crowd were hot and we're like, we want a table. And Jey does that, like, kind of pantomiming, I'm going to give you a table. You know, he pulls the curtain up real high, sets the table up on the outside. Takes a while to get there, but, they go through it.
And then the most confusing part to me, Solo Sikoa shows up and interferes. And it's confusing to me.
We're in the crowd, right?
Yeah, and it's confusing to me because maybe I'm just confusing with the segment that happened on SmackDown, but, like, they mentioned saying that, like, no one can get involved in the tribal combat, you know?
Yeah, I think commentary were really confused by that too.
Yeah, so I was confused by that. I was like, how was he able to get involved if they said they weren't supposed to? Like, it reminded me of that time where, like, Judgment Day was barred from ringside and they played around with it by not getting to ringside with just the ramp.
Yeah, oh, I remember that.
Yeah, so I was definitely a bit confused by, Solo's involvement in this all. And then we get to the finish, which is the most confusing part of it all.
I loved Michael Cole's reaction.
We get, I think Solo gets taken out. I think he, like, inadvertently speared Solo. Or, like, Reigns speared Solo. And then we get this part where, Jay's going for the splash when he's attacked. And that's when, the person, takes off their hood. It's Jimmy Uso attacking his own brother.
Yes, it is. And Michael Cole goes, what does he say? You gotta be freaking kidding me. Because like Bianca Belair saying, no, this can't happen again. Michael Cole is speaking for the people when he says, this doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense. Reigns is even shocked by it all, but he goes and gets the win, obviously. And we're just left with such a confusing outcome because what even is the explanation for all this? Like, I've seen people going, oh, they both have said they want to face each other at WrestleMania in a one-on-one match.
Right.
WrestleMania is months away. And sure, maybe you want to build a long-standing story to build all the way to that point, but, like, that is 6 months of time that you have to do that. You could easily do that with less time. And not only that, like, what is the motive here? Like, obviously, you gotta wait and see with WWE. You gotta wait for an explanation. Although sometimes you don't get it, because to this point, I don't think we ever got an explanation for why Brock even had it out for Cody.
Yeah.
But we have to just simply wait and see what the explanation for this is. And even then, I don't have too much hope that it's gonna make sense.
It doesn't. And there's a lot of different things people were like expecting or counting on or wishing for that didn't come to be at all. So I'm thinking of the Damian Priest face meme where they said, when you thought there would be like any returns, and there wasn't.
Yeah. I'm just left confused by this. I'm just left annoyed by it all, where I'm just like, man, I'm so tired of this. Like,
I really am too. And I couldn't be more excited that I didn't watch it live, that I'm on a plane doing the plus 10 gimmick, Yeah. I'm like, geez Louise, how gross would I have felt if I was sitting up watching this live?
Yeah. I have, like, no investment towards these main events anymore, just because, like, it's the same thing. Like, a lot of wrestlers catch flack for having the same matches, and yet Roman gets excused for it, because he's a draw, because this and that. But it's like that still doesn't matter in the subjective term when it comes to people's enjoyment of matches.
Yeah.
Like, why do I care how much he draws? I care about whether the matches get me invested and involved. And every time I watch his matches, I'm just like, can this be any shorter? Can this cut all the fat and filler out, please?
Hey, but color me surprised when they say that his segments with the Usos are like the highest drawing SmackDown rating of all like time, or I'm like, I can't argue with data.
Yeah, no lie, but yeah, I'm just like, especially because apparently he might have gotten injured in this match, and
I heard that
they're catching a real bad injury bug. I feel kind of bad for WWE. They got injury bug going around.
Hey, busted Josh Alexander, and after this historic title reign, just drop it. That's some Shawn Michaels stuff right there. Just with a tear in your eye. Just imagine, just like, I'm untouchable. I can't be pinned.
I think that would cause more outrage than any of his defenses.
Oh my! How much time we got?
5 minutes.
Jack, what was the match of the night for you? I've got my answer.
I think I have to. I'd probably give the edge to Rollins and Balor.
Very funny choice of words. You gave him the edge. Any particular reason why?
I just liked a lot of the story element in it.
Yeah, that was a story we're not sick of. Even though actually it is gone on since May. But I would give it to Brock and Cody for the theatrics. The constant moves. He keeps trying to win by count out. That's really funny. Brock trying to cheese a win.
Yeah. Well,
hey, and what I immediately thought was, can you imagine trying to do this in Japan with that 20 count?
Oh man. No, but hey, I mean, what do you expect? You already know Brock has the private jet out back ready to go as soon as he's finished up,
Hey, but Brock low-key was hitting standing suplexes, not just Germans. We saw probably more variety in this match with Cody, than in a long time.
Yeah, definitely. And real quickly, sir, with about 4 minutes left, I gotta quickly mention it. I don't know if you can see the shirt I'm wearing, but it's Shingo's shirt because you mentioned Japan.
Yeah.
I'm just the king of bad takes and takes aging poorly because if you remember in the last episode, I picked Shingo to win his block and even win the whole G1. He didn't even advance to or sorry if I'm spoiling it for you, but he didn't even be in contention for his block.
Dang. Oh my. You are spoiling a bit? It doesn't tell me who did, but I hate to hear Shingo had such a bad, tournament. Eddie Kingston shouldn't have beat him that first match, I don't think.
Yeah,
I would have started that differently. He should have lost to Shingo, then beat Evil. But dang.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil more for you, but I've had social media, talk about it, and has this G1 been so confusing?
Yeah, I haven't heard a lot, but I've heard at least one guy's take that Block A was what he called disappointing.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that too. And then Stardom's doing their sort of G1 tournament right now too. And oh man, they're annoying me so much because it's something I brought up. I forget on which episode, but the first, I don't think it happened on the first night, but the next night or just a bunch of the matches so far. They've ended in time limit draws, and I'm just so annoyed.
It's exactly what you said.
I'm just so annoyed. It's literally Stardom's bread and butter.
I'm gonna make a playlist of the matches I want to see and catch up this weekend. That's the plan.
Yeah, but it's just so funny to me that Stardom does this tournament. They're like, hey, let's put all our big names in for a chance to challenge for one of the top titles, and then protect each and every single competitor by just doing time limit draws.
Yeah.
And I'm just these people can take a pin, right? It's not going to hurt them. It's all for the sake of a tournament. And it doesn't even compare to last year's where one of the competitors, they started off with 14 points. And then the rest of the way, they didn't get a single point after. They lost every remaining match, even though they were in the lead. It was crazy. But yeah.
Rage Jack, I'm here for it.
Yeah, but I would say more on the G1, but I know I don't want to spoil it for you. But yeah, I've been seeing
you and me. We should schedule another time to talk about it. Maybe right after the finals or right before the finals, which I think is it next week or is it this week?
I forget when the G1 finals are.
I gotta look it up.
Yeah, let me see if I can get it in on time. We have a minute. I'm not seeing when the finals are, but I know they've already started getting the finalists for each block, to face.
Yes.
Off. So yeah,
I saw a glimpse of that, and I was like, it's not spoiled for me yet. I just know who's fighting in the finals.
Yeah. But with 45 seconds left, thank you, sir, for joining as always.
Thank you for having me.
And to the audience, thank you all for joining for another 2 episodes of season 4 so far. I believe the next time we'll catch y'all is either Payback or All In potentially. I'm still waiting to see on what they're going to do because there's no way I'm spending $50 back-to-back weeks because of All In and All Out.
Oh my.
But next time we see you is the next time we see you. But until then, thank you all for joining for this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.